and gentlemen, welcome back to VirtuoHub, where visionaries, creators, and leaders come to share the blueprint behind their impact. I'm your host, Ali Mehdaoui, and today's guest is a man who has built influence across education, athletics, entrepreneurship, and personal transformation. Kevin English is not only the author of Goal Crusher, a powerful guide that helps people break their limits and become the highest version of themselves, and also the author of the Keto Playbook, bringing practical, accessible nutrition strategies to families and communities. He is also the president of the DMV Warriors, a V-League basketball team, a respected educator, a mentor, and a man whose life work centers around unlocking potential in others. Whether it's in the classroom, on the court, or through his writing, Kevin's story is one of discipline, consistency, and community building. And today, we're going to dig into the mindset behind his books, the lessons he teaches young people, and the message that he carries to athletes, and of course, the mission that drives him forward. Kevin English, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, boss.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. We're so excited to dive right in. And I know our time is limited. So to get your greatness, I know a lot of people hear the accolades and they see the book covers and whatnot, and they assume stuff. But I'd love for you, if you can, before we dive into the accomplishments themselves, who is Kevin English at his core?
Wow. That is a great question. Like, who am I at my core? And I would say, y'all, I'm a helper. I'm just a helper. Kind-hearted guy, man. That's who I am. You know, I look every day just to serve people, man. As a teacher, I do little acts of service every single day, even if it's just helping the kids with their trash, getting their trash, come on, let me clean your table. Like, just a little acts of service. That's just who I am. I build everything I do on kindness. I just want to make sure that when I enter a room and I leave that room, people know that I'm a kind guy.
I love that. What personal experiences shaped your belief in discipline, in goal setting, and of course, consistency?
I would say at a younger age, probably middle school, I was working. I had a job, and it was more volunteer. I was volunteering, and one of the adults there said, "You're a hard worker," and that stuck with me. And that one interaction, and I couldn't tell you her name, I couldn't even tell you what she looked like, but that one small interaction stuck with me, and I liked the way that felt. The fact that she said that you're a hard worker, and I said, yeah, hard worker. Like, I like that. Like, that's me. I'm a hard worker. So that's always been what I do. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna put my best foot forward no matter what I do.
I would love, with your permission, to dive into the first book, Goal Crusher. There's a lot just from the title itself. We all want to be goal crushers, but I'd love to know what inspired you to write Goal Crusher. Let's start with that.
Oh man, another early interaction with the principal of my high school. He had this meeting he would have with all of the seniors, and he talked about goals. And at the time, I had never really been introduced to goals, and just the structure of goals, of goal setting. And I know everybody doesn't necessarily believe in goals in that particular framing of goals, but that's a word that we've all heard, right? Set your goals, especially in the new year, everyone is setting goals. And he had talked about goals and writing them down. And I did not do that until I was an adult. But I always went back to that moment and was like, he told us that 12th grade year that we should be writing these goals down. And what I noticed, that everything that I wrote down came to life. So everything that I wrote down, I would win at it. So if I wrote it down, it would happen. I would win at it. So I said, well, I want to make sure I share this information with the world. And I wrote the book Goal Crusher.
I love the simplicity of the reasoning behind it. When someone picks up the book, what do you want them to feel by the time they finish it?
I want them to feel accomplished. I want them to feel like they have the blueprint on what it is they need to do in order to set the goal and achieve the goal. So I want them to basically feel like, okay, I can do this. I get my process goals, I get my product goals, and then I get to my end goal. And so I always give this analogy of it's like stepping stones. Like if you're going to go across a creek or a lake, like you're not just going to jump all the way across. Even though you may see the other side, you're not going to jump all the way across. You need the little stones in between to hop on one stone, to hop on the other stone. And you might wobble a little bit. You might be on one foot. You might be trying to catch your balance, and then you get your balance, you catch your breath. then you jump on the next one.
I love that. This is the part that I think our virtual hub listeners are going to love us, the practical training. Let me get some golden nuggets for y'all. What would you say is the biggest mistake people make when setting goals?
Not setting the process goals. So only having the big goal and not knowing how you're going to get there, not knowing what the little rocks are that you're going to stumble on and you're going to catch your balance on before you get there. So having this huge goal, I'm going to be a millionaire, but you don't have any processes in between to get there.
I love that. It's one of those underestimating what we can do in 5 years and overestimating what we can do in a day. So I love that process. When you talk about purpose, and in your book you talk a lot about purpose, how does someone discover theirs if they feel lost? And let's call it for what it is. In a very fast-paced social media age, it's so easy for us to get lost. So how do you help people redirect themselves to find their purpose?
Always ask the question of, if no one got paid but everyone had to do something every day, what would you do for free? So what would you do if you didn't get a check for it? What would you do if there was no income involved in it? Like what would you do? What that is what you're passionate about. That's the thing that you're gonna feel like you never worked a day in your life. So finding that thing that, hey, if everybody had to go to work every day or everybody had to do something every day, what would it be that you don't even need to get paid to do that because you're gonna do it anyway?
What is one chapter or concept in the book itself, Goal Crusher, that you feel people tend to overlook or not spend enough time on or don't just grasp right away?
Really simplifying your goals, and I always call it the big three. Like coming up with 3 goals, coming up with 3 things, and I do that within the product goal and the process goal. So we can come up with 3 product goals, which is the end goal, right? And then you're going to come up with 3 process goals to get to the end goal. And you're going to do that 3 times, right? So you're going to get your 3 product goals, you're going to get your 3 process goals, and just not overdoing it in the sense where sometimes people are all over the place because they have so many things. And I'm there as well at times, and I got to refocus. But just being able to get your big 3 and know, okay, these are my process goals, and then these are the product. This is the product, and this is the process I'm going to need to get to the product.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pick up that copy of Goal Crusher. It is still available in Amazon right now as we speak. Let me go to the next one now, the Keto Playbook. Look, somebody texted me, I need you to give me a complimentary consultation without me paying. So I'm trying to do it through the podcast right now. Let's get into the keto side, and I feel like it's the right order, right? Like first you got to identify your goals and then let's get the keto in to take care of your body as well. So one kind of goes with the other. The Keto Playbook, also available in Amazon. Let's dive into, because I asked you when we were together last weekend about, was this your personal story when you wrote this book? And you said, actually, this is what I do with my clients. So I thought, let me just document it for individuals, right? So what motivated you to create the Keto Playbook as a guideline for the masses?
Yeah, well, the story began with the keto because I knew health-wise I was having some struggles. I had some bouts of dizziness, and that was the final straw. So for me, things work in 3s, right? So the first thing, I saw a picture of myself. I didn't like it. So the second thing, I
think we all can relate to that first one.
Right. Yeah. I said, man, and then I used the word frumpy. I was like, I look frumpy. And that's just the word that came to mind. The second thing is I went to a health screening, and the nurse said my blood pressure was 200 over something. And I'm like, 200, just hearing the word 200 was enough. She said, you need to go to the doctor on Monday. So I set my appointment with the doctor. The doctor said, oh, you're pre-diabetic. So, and my parents are diabetic. My grandparents were diabetic. So that was a jolt. And I knew at that time I needed to be able to decrease the amount of sugar that I took in. I didn't know how, but I was privy to a conversation about the ketogenic lifestyle, and it made sense because it had rules. And, me being a coach and me being a teacher, I kind of like that structure of knowing that it's 5% carbohydrates, is 20% protein, and 75% the healthy fats. Just knowing that was enough to get me get me in. And from there, I had such great success. I was able to lower my A1Cs. I was able to get off my high blood pressure medication. I was able to avoid having to get the diabetes medication. So because it was so powerful in my life, I wanted to help people because, as I said in the beginning, I found that I'm just a helper. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
What's something people don't know about the next-gen streaming platform? Imagine a world where streaming isn't just about broadcasting your content, but about creating an entire universe for your audience to explore. VirtuoVerse is here to revolutionize content creation. Traditional streaming is outdated. With VirtuoVerse, you can step into a new dimension of interaction and creativity. Host events, create content, and engage your audience in a whole new way. VirtuoVerse brings next-level virtual experiences where you're not just a creator, you're an innovator. Create your own virtual stage with stunning visuals and real-time engagement. Stream, monetize, and grow, all in one powerful platform. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or a game changer, VirtuoVerse is your stage. Imagine having the tools to not only share your passion, but also to turn it into a thriving business. With VirtuoVerse, you can track your growth, engage with your audience in real time, and celebrate your milestones like never before. Ready to level up? Join the revolution in content creation and entertainment. Open a free account today and start your journey towards becoming a virtual pioneer. The future of streaming is here, and it's called VirtuoVerse. Don't just stream, create, innovate, and captivate your audience like never before. Join VirtuoVerse today and redefine what it means to be a content creator. VirtuoVerse integrates seamlessly with your favorite social media platforms, making it easier than ever to share your content and grow your audience. Engage with your followers, receive instant feedback, and build a community around your passion. And here's the game changer. VirtuoVerse pays you for watching, adding, and commenting on other people's content. Turn your engagement into earnings and make every interaction count. VirtuoVerse is not just a platform, it's a thriving ecosystem where everyone benefits. Join VirtuoVerse today and be part of the future of streaming. Create, share, and earn like never before. VirtuoVerse, where your creativity meets endless possibilities. Sign up at VirtuoVerse for free today.
As an individual, so
That's powerful how you yeah, that's interesting. And look, I appreciate this part a little bit more, and I'll tell you personally because when somebody wants to help me with something, I'm like, well, did you go through it yourself in order for me? Because that solidifies social proof. That solidifies that you're not just doing it for the sake of a book or to make money, like you said earlier, but this is, you've gone through this process, so you know physically that it has worked. Therefore, you can share it with others. How do you break down health and nutrition in a way that your students, families, and athletes truly understand it? Because look, again, I'll go back to social media because we're all scrolling throughout the whole day. I know for a fact you've seen what I've seen, where one reel will contradict the one right before it, and the third one contradicts both of those together. It's like, what am I supposed to drink water? Am I supposed to fast? Am I supposed to ice? Like, what am I supposed to do? Because all these mega influencers who are very documented in their own lane completely contradict one another. So help me, coach. How do we break it down in a way that we all understand it simply?
I think the first thing is to understand your goals. And those people that I work with, their goal should typically be to manage your blood sugar because maybe you are diabetic or pre-diabetic. Also, we noticed that with a lot of the medication that's out there now, with the Manjaros and the Ozempics of the world, they tout lowering A1Cs. So I teach you how to do that without the medication, and or if you use the medication, how to eat as well. But being able to know your goal. So if your goal is to manage your blood sugar, then hey, let's focus on managing the blood sugar. And like you said, there's so many different things that are out there. So you gotta think a bodybuilder is not gonna eat like a person who wants to lose, let's say 50 pounds or more, right? They're not gonna be doing on the same program. So ultimately you have to know exactly what it is your goal is gonna be. And if it's weight loss, blood sugar, A1Cs is blood sugar, 3-month average of your blood sugar, then that's the route that you need to go.
I love that. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, use at your own risk. We are not advising anybody of any health conditions. We're not telling you what to eat, not to eat. This is just Coach sharing his own experience and what he's documented for himself and what he shares with the individuals. But definitely make sure that you consult with your own doctor, your own professionals to make your proper decisions for yourself. It's important to put that in there, right?
Definitely.
You never know who may be calling me later on today. It's like, I started keto. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know your situation. You got to make sure you check. All right. What would you say some of the myths about dieting or keto that you do wish for people to stop believing?
So one of the biggest things I feel is a huge myth just in the wellness space in general is that healthy fat is bad for you. Like healthy fat causes cholesterol. And I use the word healthy fat intentionally. So that fat causes you to be fat in a sense. So I'm actually working on a project called the Lost Macro, and the Lost Macro is healthy fat because we have taken healthy fat out of our diets since the 50s. And what has happened since the 50s? We've had a lot of other things happen in our society, and obesity being one of them, being 7 out of 10 people obese and or overweight. So all of this started to increase since the 50s. You think about Alzheimer's and a lot of these other things. And healthy fat is one of those things that we need in our diet. A healthy fat also helps with mental health. Our brain needs this healthy fat as well. All of our cells in our body have a double layer of fat around each cell. So this is one of the things that I am also adamant about teaching and having people understand that we should not be afraid of fat. I always say we've been taught to be afraid of butter. It is literally a one ingredient food item. Like we've been taught to be afraid of butter, and then they sold us margarine, which has 20 ingredients in it, right? Don't eat butter, it's bad for you. But I got margarine for you, and margarine has 20 ingredients. Butter at the most has 2 ingredients, cream and salt. And if you don't want the salted butter, you got 1 ingredient. So that's one thing I really want people to learn is that we don't need to be afraid of healthy fat. Let's start to embrace that again because fat is important in our diets and in our dietary lifestyles.
Awesome. For someone who is just starting their health journey, what is the first step they should take?
Identify your goal. What is your goal? Is your goal to build muscle? Is your goal to lose weight? Is your goal more health conscious? Like maybe you do have a condition that you may be concerned about. What is that condition attached to? So finding that goal is the first thing you need to do. Do I need to listen to a person who is an expert on building muscle, or do I need to listen to a person who's an expert on burning fat? So just knowing which lane that you're going to be in.
In other words, order your Goal Crusher book first and then the Keto Playbook after.
There you go.
Available on Amazon. All right, let's jump into the president of the DMV Warriors side of things. Talk about leadership. As president of the DMV Warriors, which by the way, you guys have a game coming up this Saturday against the 3P champions, the Beltway Bombers, making a whole lot of noise. As president of the DMV Warriors, what does leadership look like behind the scene to you?
Wow. I've always focused on unity, on getting our teams together. So for a time there, I coached the DMV Warriors, and I was really good at keeping the group together. So we would have the same group for years because I always felt like unity and just actually being a team, right? Bringing everybody together, knowing everybody's role and them learning their roles and being able to star in their role. So that's what you really want them to do, is be able to star in their role. Hey, I know you're a great rebounder. I need you to rebound, and I need you to start at being a rebounder. And then you can get a couple points here and there, but let them know that you appreciate them also as an athlete and as a player and the work that they put in. And guys will run through a brick wall for you.
What values do you instill in your players on and off the court?
Integrity is definitely one. One that I know that we always would talk about in our organization is we always dealt with men that are being men. And when we say that, it's not toxic masculinity, but taking care of their families. Like we don't deal with individuals that are not taking care of their families. So we want to make sure that, hey, if you are part of our organization, you are being a man in all aspects. And I know toxic masculinity type thing, but you're taking care of your family. You are doing the things in the real world that need to be done before this basketball ever bounces. So, we're not just looking for guys who just want to bounce the basketball, but we're looking for guys who want to do something in the community and want to be something in our society and not just bouncing a basketball.
What's something people don't know about the next-gen streaming platform? Imagine a world where streaming isn't just about broadcasting your content, but about creating an entire universe for your audience to explore. VirtuoVerse is here to revolutionize content creation. Traditional streaming is outdated. With VirtuoVerse, you can step into a new dimension of interaction and creativity. Host events, create content, and engage your audience in a whole new way. VirtuoVerse brings next-level virtual experiences where you're not just a creator, you're an innovator. Create your own virtual stage with stunning visuals and real-time engagement. Stream, monetize, and grow, all in one powerful platform. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or a game changer, VirtuoVerse is your stage. Imagine having the tools to not only share your passion, but also to turn it into a thriving business. With VirtuoVerse, you can track your growth, engage with your audience in real time, and celebrate your milestones like never before. Ready to level up? Join the revolution in content creation and entertainment. Open a free account today and start your journey towards becoming a virtual pioneer. The future of streaming is here, and it's called VirtuoVerse. Don't just stream, create, innovate, and captivate your audience like never before. Join VirtuoVerse today and redefine what it means to be a content creator. VirtuoVerse integrates seamlessly with your favorite social media platforms, making it easier than ever to share your content and grow your audience. Engage with your followers, receive instant feedback, and build a community around your passion. And here's the game changer. VirtuoVerse pays you for watching, adding, and commenting on other people's content. Turn your engagement into earnings and make every interaction count. VirtuoVerse is not just a platform, it's a thriving ecosystem where everyone benefits. Join VirtuoVerse today and be part of the future of streaming. Create, share, and earn like never before. VirtuoVerse, where your creativity meets endless possibilities. Sign up at VirtuoVerse for free today.
What would you say, if you can think about one moment that in your leadership with the Warriors changed you?
That changed me, man. I would say one moment that I remember just ultimately is we had a game in Jacksonville, Florida. And we had a great group. But Jacksonville had won this particular league year after year after year after year after year. They hadn't lost at home in years, right? So when we walked into Jacksonville, we're in an arena, and it literally is like 3,000 to 5,000 people in there, right? So I mean, it is like an NBA arena, and there's an NBA atmosphere. The fans are from floor to ceiling. And we take off on them. I mean, we're up 30 points. I mean, we are kicking their butt. And what happens is fourth quarter, those guys come back. And, it is a war. It's a battle, and just the atmosphere and everything is great. And it mimics life because, you can be up and, you're kicking life's butt. And then all of a sudden, some things start to happen, right? But you keep fighting and you keep fighting and you keep fighting and you keep fighting. And although we felt like there were some things that were done unfairly, just like in life, right? There's some things that you feel like, hey, man, this thing might be done
I heard
unfairly.
the story. Yeah.
Yeah,
What happened the day after where they invited for, I got you.
And at the end of the day, we won the game by 1 point. So at the end of the day, we were still able to win the game. Did we win by 30? No, we didn't win by 30. We won by 1, but we fought through adversity. We didn't turn on each other in that moment. So just how sports mimics life, that whole game is just a whole lesson on life.
Yeah. In regards to the pro basketball world, it's very intense because it's a business, right? It's bringing everybody together for one common goal. And when you have so many people involved, you are as weak as your weakest link. What separates, in your opinion, the players who make it to the G League and get NBA practices, as the V League has done consistently year after year, and the players who don't?
Being a stand-up individual. Like, there are some guys I've seen make it to the league who may not been like super standout. And when I say not standout now, don't get me wrong, they made it to the NBA. So they're definitely better than most basketball players. But at the end of the day, you may have seen guys better. You may have seen guys who had a higher trajectory in a sense. They were touted as the number one athlete, or they were touted as this and touted as that. And then this guy comes along and you're like, oh, he played Division II basketball, and he's in the NBA. And you try to figure out what happens. But what I've learned, Haywood Highsmith is one of those guys that I was able to interact with as a college athlete. And he worked out in our gym, and he interacted with one of my family members. And he was just a great guy, great kid. I call them all kids, right? He's just a great kid. He's a great guy, great individual, great man. And I think that plays a big part in making it to the next level, especially if you're not the LeBron James of the world, right? And most of the guys that are in our league are not the LeBron James because they would have already been there. These are the guys who would backfill the roster. And what they need to know about the league when it comes to the G League and the NBA is they're looking for the guys to star in their role. Because there are not a lot of LeBron Jameses, right? But there are a lot of guys that can star in their roles. They're looking for that guy to fill the roster that can star in the role. And I speak highly of Haywood because I met him and had opportunities to interact with him, and he's a great person. And I believe he's a better person than he is a basketball player. And that's saying a lot because he's been in the NBA for half of a decade. So um, being a stand-up individual is a big part of making it to the league, especially if you're not one of those top tier guys.
Yeah, I love that. Let's switch gear to the educator and the mentor,
Yeah.
Kevin English, or as your students call him, Mr. E. Or Coach E, right? All right. So you're a teacher and a community leader. There's no doubt about that. How do those roles specifically influence the way that you write and the way that you lead? Because I feel like it comes with a sense of accountability, right? Like you got to back up what you are documenting. But give me from your vantage point on how do those roles influence the way you write and the way you lead?
I think it's just a part of living it. Like even being a teacher, I'm a teacher in the community that I grew up. So it's just living it. It's just what I talk about, and just like the ketogenic lifestyle, right? It's life. I do the ketogenic lifestyle every day. Goal Crusher comes about because that's on my brain every day, setting these new standards and these new goals and achieving. Like this is something that I'm living on a daily basis. And being around young people really helps because you can also see what people are thinking. You get to see what people are thinking, what's really going on in the real world, because, you really got your feet on the ground and you're seeing it firsthand exactly what's going on. So that inspires me to write about those things. It inspires me to create products because I'm around young people and around the game of basketball. So creating products around the game of basketball, like all of just being around it. So everything that I talk about, that I write about, I live it. It's just a part of me. I can't avoid it if I wanted to.
I love it. I can't avoid it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
What do you feel like young people today need the most that schools or even society just don't necessarily always give them?
I think they need a moment to have conversations. What I notice with younger people nowadays is they don't know how to communicate. And a lot of that is because of social media. And that's why I love what Virtual Versus doing with the virtual kids, because they're making sure that the kids are being able to be educated within the platform and having a responsibility as the creators of a platform that they want to take care of our children. And a lot of the children are just aimlessly scrolling on social media nowadays and spending 10 to 12 hours a day, or half the day, looking at a screen and not getting any value, and then not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to have a conversation with another human being unless it's through text. So, or unless it's through
A
FaceTime, right?
visual story, yeah. I'll tell you what's fascinating, and if you haven't tested this, so my kids, obviously, they were born after the touch screen, while you and I were born in an age. So when I say, hey, let's pretend we are on a phone call, so you and I would do this. My children, have you seen it before? You know where I'm going
I
with this?
know, I never had, but I'm going to do that.
So try this. My son, he will keep his hands flat and he'll do this because he's used at a flat screen, right? My daughter would look at her hand and pretend. I was like, hello, Papa. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm in the phone. Because in her mind, that's the way she was born in a world that it's the facial interaction. So try it with the children around you. Be like, let's pretend we're on a call, and you'll be fascinated how, based on when they were born and what technology was dominating, me and you, we still do this, right? Like we tell stories like, so this guy calls me and we immediately do this. We do the two fingers, one in the ear, one in the mouth. My son will put his hand flat open on his cheek. My daughter would stare at her hand because she was born in a technology where, even when my brother-in-law would call sometimes, like, let me say hi to Isabel, even if I had him in my ear, she'll start looking at the phone and talking while she's like, I don't see him. I'm like, right, baby girl. And I'll put him in loudspeaker. She's like, but I don't see him, because she does not fathom the idea of I'm talking without seeing the person that I'm talking to, which,
Right.
It's amazing. So yes, communication, I get it. What breakthrough moment have you seen with a student or an athlete that stays with you until today?
Wow. It's like, I feel bad by saying this, an athlete, but this is one of those light bulb moments that the first time I've really seen a light bulb go off. And we're in the game, and one of the players that I coach, his name is Jemiah Felt. He actually plays for Temple University right now.
Yeah.
And he's in the 11th grade, and we watched him develop as a 10th grader. And he's literally running up and down the basketball court. And he blocks a shot. He dribbles the ball down the court. He makes a jump shot. Then he blocks another shot. Then he dunks the ball. And then he runs over to the bench. And he just stands there and looks at me. And he said, Coach, this is getting easy. And it's like, it was like a movie. It's like he just kept running and dunking and blocking shots and dribbling the ball and dunking and blocking shots. And it's like he hasn't stopped dunking and blocking shots since. And it was just very interesting to see that light bulb go off and to see how he just, from there, he just elevated. And what that taught me is that a lot of life is confidence. So when you're able to be put in situations where you can gain that level of confidence, once the light bulb goes off, nobody can stop you. Because he was the same guy 5 minutes before that. And when he came, he was changed. When he ran away from me, he was a new guy.
Wow.
So that's just that sports mimicking life, that it was just about him having the experiences to gain the confidence for the light bulb to go off for him to take it to the next level.
I love that. That is super powerful. I totally get it. I'm going to give you a couple of rapid fire questions with, they're all good. I'm going to throw you some layups to keep it in a basketball example. So what daily habits or routines keep you sharp mentally, physically, and spiritually?
One of the biggest daily habits, and I'll refer back to my big three, right? I have this thing about threes, and being in my big three is I come up with 3 things that I'm grateful for every night. Sometimes I do it in the morning, so it'll be 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I call it the big three. So I have to, before I lay my head down, type in my phone 3 things that I was grateful for that day. Some days are harder than others, but every day, you sit down and you type it in that phone. Now, I want to be realistic and I want to be transparent that there are some days that get missed. It doesn't happen every single solitary day, but 90% of the time I am writing or typing in my phone the big 3 for the day. What are the 3 things that I'm grateful for? So gratitude is one of the biggest things that I live by. I want to make sure that every day I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what I'm doing, where I am, who I am, all of those things. I mean, just grateful for some of the small things, just being able to, hey, I took a walk today. Like, man, like just being grateful for the little things in life.
What's a failure that since we're talking about gratitude, what's a failure that you're grateful for because it shaped your success?
Man.
I know. I told you it's rapid fire.
I just had this conversation with my dad. One of my biggest failures that I'm grateful for is in my 9th grade year in high school, I got cut from the basketball team.
Oh, I'm getting a Jordan story. Go on.
Yeah. And I think I got cut because I didn't look like a basketball player. I did the work. I put the work in, but I hadn't had my growth spurt. I was still a little chubby guy. So I didn't look like a basketball player. And my dad, I was home crying. Crying my eyes out. And I still remember the chair I was sitting in. And he said, you gonna cry or you gonna get better? And that's it. He didn't lay me out. He didn't say, stop crying. You soft. He said, what you gonna do about it? You gonna cry or you gonna go get better? And I went and got better. And at the end of the day, my next year, my 10th grade year, I was the leading scorer on the JV basketball team and got moved up to varsity at the end of the year. So you think 12 months later, I'm on varsity and I just got cut from JV. And 24 months later, I'm winning a state championship and I'm the second leading scorer on the state championship basketball team behind a McDonald's All-American. So that was a defining moment where are you going to cry or are you going to get better? Yep. And I think that's something that we could use in our life, right? And as grown men, hey, what we going to do? Ali, what we going to do? We going to cry or we going to get better? Like, I think that's just a great standard to set.
Yeah. I got one last question. Well, actually, I'll hit you up with 2. If you could put one message on every billboard across America, what would it say?
Be grateful. Be grateful.
Simple and right to the point. Yeah. All right, here's my last question for you before we wrap it up. What is the legacy Kevin English wants to leave behind on everything that he's doing?
Wow. And that is one thing that I think about on a daily basis. And because I don't have any children, and that's a whole nother story, right? I don't have any children. So everyone that I interact with, I feel like they're
my child.
they're my legacy. Grown, young, whatever. They're my legacy. So my interactions with you, Ali, you are part of my legacy because if you are blessed enough to be on this earth longer than I am, the stories you tell about me is all I have. So everyone that I interact with is my legacy. So I want to make sure that when I interact with people, that they walk away with a positive interaction. And if I can touch their life in a positive way, I want to be able to do that because when I've moved on from this earth, the only people that I have to really talk about me or say who I was as a person or who I wasn't as a person would be all of the individuals that I've interacted with throughout my life.
Legacy, legacy, legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard him right here on the Virtual Hub. Please make sure that you keep it locked in with us. We are all over Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible.com, Amazon Music, you name it, you find it, you will listen to it. And he goes by the name of Coach E, a.k.a. Coach Kevin English, an author, a speaker, an educator, a businessman, everything in one body and through his voice. And God willing, what you are picking up from today's interview is going to create his legacy into the multitudes, because he wants to provide, he wants to help, he wants to assist. Make sure that you visit virtualverse.com. That is virtualverse.com, or just click on the link that is in the actual description itself. Not right now if you're driving. I said not right now if you're driving. I can see you touching your phone. I'm calling the cops on you right now. Put that phone down, because I care about you alive more than I care about you successful. But when you do park it, make sure that you click on that link, open a free account so you can scroll, you can view, you can watch, you can interact with others. And the best part about it, in virtualverse.com, you actually can get paid for the very same behavior that you're doing on all the different legacy. My name is Ali Mehdaoui. This is the Virtual Hub. And until next time, hey, Coach, tell them peace out, everybody.
Peace.
What's something people don't know about the next-gen streaming platform? Imagine a world where streaming isn't just about broadcasting your content, but about creating an entire universe for your audience to explore. VirtuoVerse is here to revolutionize content creation. Traditional streaming is outdated. With VirtuoVerse, you can step into a new dimension of interaction and creativity. Host events, create content, and engage your audience in a whole new way. VirtuoVerse brings next-level virtual experiences where you're not just a creator, you're an innovator. Create your own virtual stage with stunning visuals and real-time engagement. Stream, monetize, and grow, all in one powerful platform. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or a game changer, VirtuoVerse is your stage. Imagine having the tools to not only share your passion, but also to turn it into a thriving business. With VirtuoVerse, you can track your growth, engage with your audience in real time, and celebrate your milestones like never before. Ready to level up? Join the revolution in content creation and entertainment. Open a free account today and start your journey towards becoming a virtual pioneer. The future of streaming is here, and it's called VirtuoVerse. Don't just stream, create, innovate, and captivate your audience like never before. Join VirtuoVerse today and redefine what it means to be a content creator. VirtuoVerse integrates seamlessly with your favorite social media platforms, making it easier than ever to share your content and grow your audience. Engage with your followers, receive instant feedback, and build a community around your passion. And here's the game changer. VirtuoVerse pays you for watching, adding, and commenting on other people's content. Turn your engagement into earnings and make every interaction count. VirtuoVerse is not just a platform, it's a thriving ecosystem where everyone benefits. Join VirtuoVerse today and be part of the future of streaming. Create, share, and earn like never before. VirtuoVerse, where your creativity meets endless possibilities. Sign up at VirtuoVerse for free today.